roll still has minors and foreigners, according to the EC. And robbery attack forces man to jump from Jowlu overhead. Yes, if you go to Star News, don't look on as Ghana slaves, Mahama to Christians. Meanwhile, Baumia says action speaks louder than words. He's jabbing Mahama. Meanwhile, blame Mahama swollen shoe disease for low cocoa production. Hey, a Greek minister. Mahama is everywhere. Meanwhile, if you go to the same Star News, let's unite and save Ghana, Mahama to Christians. So, like Mahama everywhere. Now, if you go to GNA, they say Nana, Jane, and I will never engage in insults. Mahama assures Ghanaians. Akufo-Addo prioritizes youth transformation and empowerment. And have no fears, Ghana will not burn. Peace Council. Okay. Now, those are some of the stories. You go to CNN and BBC. Joe Biden and Harris say Trump has left U.S. in tatters. So the attack, is everywhere. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
That's the day in Delaware.
Yeah, man. The CNN lead story. She has showed why Biden chose her as running mate. Let's start with the EC and the wrap-up of the numbers.
Okay, front page of the Daily Graphic. EC confident of credible register. The Electoral Commission has given a firm assurance that it is on track to conduct the December 7, 2020 polls with nothing but a clean and credible register. The Commission has provisionally registered 16,963,306 people at the end of the biometric voter registration exercise, which ended on August 9 this year, exceeding its 15 million target. Now, in terms of the breakdown, the EC chairperson disclosed that 8,775,609 females were registered, representing 51% of the total registrants, while the remaining 8,187,689, representing 48%, were males. On the original breakdown of the figures, Greater Accra led with 3.5 million registrants, while the Ashanti region followed with 3,113,856. So, four other regions which recorded above a million were the Eastern region, Bernard Central, Western, and Northern. Yesterday, I think you did a fantastic job on the point of view.
Thank you.
The Volta region fell marginally below the 1 million mark after recording 929,322. First-time registrants were also broken down by the EC boss. 762,944 first-time registrants, defined as persons who turned 18 years during the registration exercise. When added to the 612,104 19-year-olds that were also captured, it brings the total number of persons below 20 years to 1.3 million, representing 8% of the total registrants.
We will do further breakdown on the show, but there are two headlines, Nathan. New voters register still as minors and foreigners, according to the EC. This is citinewsroom.com. It says the Electoral Commission says there are still minors and foreigners in the new voters roll. This was made known during the press conference addressed by Chairperson Madam Jean Mensah. According to her, the Commission is mindful of the infiltration of foreigners at a number of registration centers. Additionally, we are aware that a number of minors have also found their way into the register. Mrs. Mensah said the influx of foreigners on the old register was one of the reasons proponents of the new register gave for asking for the register to be done. Meanwhile, the NDC has been commenting on the register. They say they will kick against deletion of names from the register. This is Peter Boamo. Token of Story says the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC says his party is concerned that the EC may arbitrarily remove names from the new voters register during adjudication and deduplication processes. We will not allow any premature or illegal deletion of names of people who have gone through stress to get their names on the register, he told Eyewitness News. So those are the register stories. I'm sure that's enough for one morning. We can come back to that later on. What else is big in the news this morning?
Well, if you go to page 13 of the Ghanaian Times, it says Parliament yesterday approved a $1.3 billion syndicated loan facility for the Ghana Cocoa Board for the purchase of cocoa beans from farmers and to finance other operations of the board for the 2020-2021 crop season. The House also approved a $6.5 million request for waiver of stamp duty on the receivables-backed trade finance facility between the board and the consortium of banks and financial institutions in line with provisions of the Stamp Duty Act 2005. So Parliament was quite busy approving big amounts.
I have two cocoa-related stories for you. As you read, Minority says Cocoa Board's decision to invest cocoa export duty in cocoa roads is illegal. This is on myjournalline.com. The minority in Parliament has accused Cocoa Board of acting illegally in breach of revenue laws by deciding to vest export duty on cocoa in cocoa roads. This came to bear yesterday as Parliament approved cocoa board 1.3 billion, as you were talking about, with objections raised by the minority. The Member of Parliament on the Finance Committee, Benjamin Podo, says cocoa board is running away from parliamentary oversight. But Chairman of the committee, Dr. Makesibe Ebua, says cocoa board is only being transparent. Then if you go to Star News, blame Mahama and swollen shoe disease for low cocoa production. This is the Agric Minister. Unbelievable. The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Koto Efriye Koto, has blamed Ghana's dwindling cocoa production on the Mahama administration and the swollen shoe disease. Ghana's cocoa production has been declining in recent years after picking up in 2016-2017 crop season. The country recorded 969,000 metric tons in 2016-2017, fell to 904,000 in 2018 and 811,000 in 2019. Answering questions from the Sagnarigu MP ABF Husseini on the floor, Dr. Efriye Koto blamed the development on the swollen shoe disease and the former President Mahama. According to him, the Mahama administration failed to roll out adequate measures to fight the disease, which he said had affected trees replaced.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament has charged the management of cocoa board to reduce reliance on loans to finance its operations. This follows approval of the money Nathan read about.
Well, there are two other cocoa-related stories, Bernard. Back page of the Daily Graphic, cocoa board rehabilitates farms affected by swollen shoot disease. And then on the front page of the BNFT, impact of hybrid cocoa seedlings on production to be felt from next year.
Okay.
According to the Agric Minister. Let me just give you a bit of the one from the BNFT. Government has put in place more pragmatic policies and a more pragmatic policy and program to facilitate the effective production and distribution of cocoa seedlings to farmers. An initiative that will increase the country's cocoa production from next year. Ghana has for some years now recorded a decline in production, a situation that, according to the minister, is largely a result of the cocoa swollen shoe disease that has been attacking cocoa farms. And according to him, the rehabilitated cocoa farms are now thriving under proper maintenance. All things being equal, the full impact of this program on hybrid seedlings production will be felt from the 2021-2022 cocoa season.
Now, there's a lot of stories from the Youth Day yesterday and also from Mohammed's travels around the country. So let me give you one or two, then Nathan can come in as well. For example, if you go to citinewsroom.com, unemployment and education are the priority concern of Ghana's youth. Don't forget, yesterday was World Youth Day. Afrobarometer report says unemployment and education are the most pressing problems for young Ghanaians, according to the most recent Afrobarometer survey. Its findings released on International Youth Day say that these are the problems young Ghanaians want to be addressed by the state. The survey asked adults of all ages to cite the most important problem they want the government to address, and infrastructure and roads were the most frequently cited priority mentioned by 59% of respondents, followed by unemployment and education, 39 and 38. But when narrowed down to Ghanaians between age 18 and 35, they say unemployment and education are their main concerns. So whilst the majority of Ghanaians together think infrastructure and roads are the major issues, the youth want work and good schooling. Young adults are 14 and 5% points respectively, more likely than seniors to cite unemployment and education as their top priorities. Now, there's a couple of quotes from yesterday's event.
Yeah, I have a lot on the front page of the Daily Guide. Mahama is old cargo. Bawumia fires. That's on the front page. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia yesterday described the National Democratic Congress flag bearer John Mahama as an old quantity who for 8 years as Vice President and President could not do anything meaningful to empower the youth of the country. Quote, what the youth of this country should ask Mahama is, what did John Mahama do for the youth in 8 years of government? Did his government create jobs? Speaking during this year's chapter of the International Youth Day organized by the National Youth Wing of the NPP, the Vice President asked further, did his government maintain teacher training allowances? Did his government maintain nursing training allowances? Did his government maintain the Arabic teachers allowance? Dr. Bawumia said that promises are one thing, but deeds and action another.
Well, Mahama's response, not directly, but he's been speaking to religious leaders, and he's basically calling on them to save Ghana. If you go to a few of the websites, for example, Star News, don't look on as Ghana slips Mahama to Christians. Former President John Mahama says Christians in the country cannot look on as the country slips into decadence under the Akufo-Addo government. According to him, the NPP government has compromised all state institutions with partisan politics and interest. He was introducing his running mate to the Christian community at a ceremony in Accra and appealed to the Christians to play their part to save the country. Now, that story is also on Joy FM, and their angle is quite interesting. He says, I have received calls from religious leaders to call government to order. Former President Mahama says he has received complaints from a number of members of the clergy to call government to order on what he describes as unfair treatment and targeted attacks on religious leaders in the country. He said religious leaders have expressed displeasure over attacks launched on them for speaking against injustice in the country. And he says the leaders therefore called on him to intervene. This was still at yesterday's event. Godfrey, Nathan.
If you go to the New Crusading Guide, there's an interesting story. Carlos Ahinkra is just not catching a break.
Oh, Charlie.
Because the Tema Traditional Council has issued a stern warning to him, saying it will not hesitate to sack him when he visits the palace.
Has he done again?
According to the Traditional Council, the Tema West Member of Parliament has never respected the council. Charlie. Should he even go to the palace in the company of the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, Ni Ama Somponu III, who is the Shipi of the TTC, did not mince words, saying the elders of the council would politely show Carlos Ahinkra the exit in order not to embarrass the president. Now, he said these words when Daniel Titus Glover, who's MP for Tema East, went to make a donation towards the Homo Festival.
There are quite a number of homicide stories scattered over the news. For example, Citi News, Japan residents block road over killing of businessman. Then this morning on the Citi news, Pastor at Jehovah Nisi Church at Ejiso killed.
Yes, that's on.
Then there's an so I don't know why these stories keep coming up.
Yeah. So the story reads: suspected robbers have shot and killed the head pastor of the Jehovah Nisi Evangelical Ministry branch at Ejiso Tikrom in Ashanti region on Wednesday. The pastor, Reverend Maxwell Atakra, was killed at his residence at Enyinem Kejasi in the Nshaisu constituency of the Ashanti region at about 3 a.m. Members of the church and family and neighbors are yet to come out of the shock. Now, quoting the wife, Pastor Safo, who is an associate pastor of the church, said, quote, the robbers rushed to the bedroom of the deceased and ordered them to bring their money. Pastor Safo indicated that the wife said she struggled with them and was able to escape. And then the Pastor Atakra's lifeless body was seen lying somewhere in the news.
We were told that the pastor had raised an alarm and the robbers shot him. Now, if you go to citinewsroom.com, Japan residents block road over killing of businessman. Some youth of Japan blocked the main road on Wednesday, the 12th of August, that was yesterday, after the killing of a businessman in the area by suspected robbers. The incident happened on Tuesday at about 11 p.m. when the deceased and his wife were returning home from work. About 3 men reportedly accosted the two and shot the man after a short confrontation at a suburb called Deeper Life. Eyewitnesses say the police delayed in responding to distress calls after the incident, which angered the residents and the youth and caused them to mount roadblocks and burn car tires in protest. Citi News understands the police from Japan arrived at the scene and calm was restored. A brother of the deceased, in narrating the incident, said, I was in the room and I heard a call from one of my tenants that my brother had been shot down. So I asked what happened. The wife told me they were going home around 11 p.m., saw a gentleman coming out from the dark corner of the way, and before they realized it, he was about to attack. So she called her husband that armed robbers. The husband told them that if this money they want, here it is, they should take it. But they said, we are not after your money. So they started to run away. Someone shot him from the back.
Back page of the Daily Graphic also has a sad story. Bernard, cop accidentally killed by colleague in Bono region. Tragedy hits the rapid deployment force of the Bono Regional Police Command when a member of the team, Corporal Rexford Amoakun, was allegedly shot and killed accidentally by one of his colleagues. According to the police, the RDF was deployed from Sinai last Monday for highway patrol duties within Doma. However, during the operation, a member of the team allegedly fired his gun accidentally, which killed Corporal Amoakun in the Diaba forest in the Doma West District.
Oh, Lord. All of these stories coming up at this time. Now, let's move into other areas of news. Robbery attack forces man to jump from Jowulu overhead. This is from Adum Online. A vlogger has recounted how his decision to jump from the Jowulu overhead cost him 8 of his front teeth. Kelvin Otri said the life-threatening experience happened on February 20 last year while he was on his way to the Accra Technical University, aka Accra Poly, from a church service at 9:30 p.m.
Okay.
And he was being interviewed, and he said that a suspected robbery attack made him take that impulse decision as the only way to escape. And he says he did not want to take chances as the area is known as a hub for criminals and unscrupulous individuals. I met a huge figure wielding a machete, aggressively approaching me, and fear gripped me because it was a first experience and it was horrible. I couldn't stand the idea of being murdered in cold blood for no crime committed. So I opted for the overhead and fell, he narrates. He said after this, his jaw twisted, coupled with a fracture in his leg and various degrees of injuries. This issue of petty crime, robbery, snatchings not very good. Let's get into other stories.
Well, there's a story on page 15, which is the graphics entertainment page for the day. We can't use NDC actors, Kumawood producers. The tree movie industry, Kumawood, has gained an unenviable reputation for blacklisting players, especially actors who don't live up to the status quo. Actor Clement Boni, popularly known as Mr. Beautiful, learned this lesson the hard way when he was frozen out of the industry for declaring his support for the NDC. And while the criticism may hurt them, Kumawood producer Paul J of Paul G Films has disclosed that it is not their fault for not casting NDC actors because Kumasi is an NPP stronghold and it will be difficult to sell movies with NDC actors in it.
Very soon, the food we eat will be labeled NDC MPP, and there will also be MPP water and NDC water. Now that it has entered Kumawood. All right, if you don't have any more, let me take you
Let's go international.
global. There's a huge one on the US. There's a new running mate for the Democrats, and they seem pretty excited about her. Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris said Trump has left the US in tatters. The pair held their first campaign event together a day after Mr. Biden unveiled Miss Harris as his number 2. President Trump hit back saying Miss Harris had dropped like a rock in her own presidential bid. Mr. Biden will face Trump, a Republican, in November's election. So watch out for that. It's going to be interesting. And then
there's also a story from the Russian side on
they say they have a vaccine.
Yes,
for
but
corona.
that has been challenged and they are fighting back again.
Okay, what are they saying
Well,
now?
they are saying that international concern over their vaccine is groundless. Russia has dismissed mounting international concern over the safety of its locally developed COVID-19 vaccine as absolutely groundless. On Tuesday, it said the vaccine had been given regulatory approval after less than 2 months of testing on humans. But experts were quick to raise concerns about the speed of Russia's work, and a growing list of countries have expressed skepticism. Scientists in Germany, France, Spain, and the US have all urged caution. It seems our foreign colleagues are sensing the specific competitive advantages of the Russian drug and are trying to express opinions that are absolutely groundless, Russia's health minister Mikhail Murashko told Interfax news agency on Wednesday. This story is on page 13 of The Statesman.
Then there's a story on Citi Sports online that I find unbelievable. Don't join Arsenal. CK Akuno wants party. Charlie, this story.
The way national
Ghana's
football.
national head coach CK Akuno has advised midfielder Thomas Partey to snap Arsenal in favor of remaining at Atletico Madrid. Partey, 27, has been linked with a move to the Premier League all summer, with Arsenal reportedly submitting a bid for his service which was rejected. Akuno himself, a former captain of German Bundesliga side Wolfsburg, reckons joining Arsenal could deny Partey regular Champions League football, as the Gunners are never guaranteed to play in Europe's elite competition. Oh. Then here's a quote. The man told, he said, honestly, I wouldn't want him to move to Arsenal because with Atletico, he will always play in the Champions League. His position is guaranteed and he will always play. Akuno told Star FM. With Arsenal, I'm not too sure. Akuno said, before remarking, Arsenal fans will kill me for saying this, but he should not join the Gunners. Okay. Sana Odeba. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen. That was a newspaper review. Coming up next is City Business. Stay with us.